when we'll be opening again. If we're able to get an egg and a surrogate but don't have the sperm, then we're at an indefinite standstill. We hopped into the car and drove at light speed for about 25 minutes. The tension on the roads was palpable, people honking and swerving. The 405 freeway was a parking lot, which, to be fair, was normal. On the overpass, we saw bird's-eye views of grocery stores with lines out the door that seemed to stretch on for miles. We arrived at the clinic and got out of the car. Oddly enough, this street in Brentwood was empty. It was an unusually windy and blustery day, which made everything seem even eerier. Once we finished at the clinic, after finalizing one of the biggest decisions we'll ever make, we got back into the car and headed toward home. What I knew, but David did not, is that I had no intention of heading home from the sperm bank. No, I was heading back to the animal shelter to go save that nameless mutt that had not left my mind, except maybe when I was in that little room at the sperm bank. So, I thought maybe we'd just swing by that animal shelter to see what's going on. Oh my God, Dave, what have you done? Let's just foster him for a week, I suggested. After that, I figured things would be nearly normal again. We walked out of that shelter that day with an unnamed pit bull boxer mix. You now know him as Clyde. You know what happened next. The curve never flattened and nothing went back to normal. My book tour, travel, everything was canceled. People went months without seeing their families, skipping out on Christmases and Thanksgivings, even when it could have been their grandparents' last. Those who did see their families were condemned as reckless and irresponsible. You're going to kill Grandma. The U.S. presidential election came and went, fraught with skepticism, and America's biggest and sketchiest pharmaceutical corporations raced to manufacture and distribute a vaccine before it was ever approved or even properly tested. Eventually, cities began to slowly open up and relax mandates again, only to later reinforce even more severe mandates than before. These never-ending lockdowns had extreme ripple effects. Businesses were boarded up. Political protests erupted in the streets. Sales of firearms reached record highs. 5 million Americans bought them for the first time in 2020, myself included. Finally, people went nuts. Locking themselves indoors for over a year, some occasionally ventured outside their home to walk their dog or go for Sunday drives, but never without their trusty mask. Suicide is still on the rise. 1 in 4 young Americans have considered or attempted it since the beginning of the lockdown. Following federal vaccine mandates enforced by large corporations, many Americans, including former frontline workers, have been forced out of their jobs for refusing the jab. Now, 2 years after the initial pandemic panic, we know that our country's leaders, including not only our government, but also our media, use COVID-19 as an opportunity to test our limits. They appear to have asked themselves, just how much oppression will the American people tolerate? Will otherwise healthy people wear a mask any time they leave their homes? Can we pressure them into taking an unproven and untested vaccine? Will they spy on their neighbors to enforce quarantine rules? Can people be guilted into looting and rioting in the streets for a cause they don't understand? The unfortunate truth is that most Americans, it turned out, were happy to submit while our country burned. It might surprise you, but this book is not a dystopian novel. If it were, I'd totally cast Chris Pratt as yours truly in the movie adaptation. Life these days sure does feel like dystopian fiction, though it's not exactly what George Orwell had in mind. Instead of a colorless society of factory slaves, ours is one in which our government creates problems, blames its people, then manufactures a terrible solution. Think about it. For 4 years, the man told us that Trump was an evil orange monster, putting kids in cages, killing the planet, killing our grandmas, and demonized over half of the American voting population for electing him in. Luckily, they told us a single vote for Trump's opponent or an injection can restore normalcy, casting all memory of him away like a spell. Well, people cast the vote and got the jab, yet normalcy never came. The same technological overlords who canceled the former president are now canceling us.